It is a break the glass moment, an attack on our democracy, and it should precipitate exactly the kind of firestorm that we saw in the wake of the Saturday night massacre under Richard Nixon.
Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut says the firing of Sessions has him working on a Plan B to protect and preserve the work of Robert Mueller. And Congressman Jerry Nadler, New York Democrat, who will be running the House Judiciary Committee come January, released a statement demanding key officials preserve all relevant documents related to Sessions' dismissal. He added, quote, "The firing of Jeff Sessions will be investigated and people will be held accountable. This must begin immediately, and if not, then a Democratic Congress will make this a priority in January." Our former members of Congress, Donna Edwards and David Jolly, are still with us. Congressman Jolly, can you name a Republican or Republicans in the U.S. Senate who will cross the aisle and work on the Mueller Preservation Act of 2018?
No, because they would have done so already. And I credit Mitt Romney and other Republican senators who at least suggested today that the probe should continue. But honestly, I believe Mitt Romney is going to be the next Jeff Flake of the United States Senate, because there's a difference between saying we need justice to prevail and actually doing something legislatively about it. It's why the importance of Democrats taking the House matters. In the House rules package on January 3rd, House Democrats can form a special select committee to convene its own investigation, and if Mueller has already been fired, they can subpoena Mueller to be a witness. Eventually, House Democrats will get a Mueller report. I think we've seen from Republicans inside the Beltway, particularly the United States Senate, they're not going to do a single thing about this.
Donna Edwards, same question.
Well, you know, I have thought for a long time that if Democrats regain control of the House, that clearly they have subpoena power. They should, you know, do their investigations and oversight, but they have to walk and chew gum at the same time, do policy on one hand.
Talked about that
but
last
also,
night.
but also to make sure that there's accountability. But that's in January, and so this time between now and January, really the ball is in the court of the Senate. And today, Mark Warner issued a statement, an affirmative statement for Bob Mueller, but we didn't hear a statement from Richard Burr.
I heard you say that on the air. That was vital.
Yeah, it's really important because in previous other instances, they have joined together in issuing those statements. And so it's going to be an important moment both on the street for activists and advocates to be out there pressing the issue. And I know that there are a lot of those actions going to go on. But also right now, this time between now and January 3rd is really critical. And I would not put it past the president, given what he's done today, to just go, you know, full bore. And we have to be ready for that. At the same time, we have to make sure that we're not just focused on every investigation. And what I heard Nancy Pelosi say today, again, after she said it last night, she articulated a policy agenda, but she also emphasized that the House of Representatives was going to reclaim its constitutional authority and its constitutional role. And I think Americans are going to look forward to that.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.